Part 52. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 525. When a gorgeous female secretary wearing a black formal suit and black stockings walked out of the lounge with her head lowered, Yejing and Zhao Xingba were stunned, and their brains felt like they were shaking. My mother. The two of them couldn't help but give General Manager Wang Taipan an admiring look. What does this mean? The prince of the family came to inspect the house and was caught messing around in the office. Not only did he let his secretary hide in the lounge, didn't he know that one more person and one less person in a space cannot be hidden from practitioners? Yejing admired this guy a little. He asked his secretary to hide in the lounge. Did he want to continue after they left? Humph, now that we are here, it's impossible, so get out of here. The secretary in black silk stockings walked quietly towards the door with her head lowered and her face red. There was still a trace of crystal pure milk in the corner of her red mouth, which made Yejing and others jealous. A greasy old man was so playful. Yejing felt very sad when he thought about how he was still a virgin. Gan. The look he looked at the general manager was a little unkind. After the unrelated people left, Gray took the lead and walked to the soft chair of the general manager. Just as he was about to sit down, he stopped and looked at Mr. Wang with a strange look on his face. Is this chair clean? He was afraid of sitting on something dirty, even through his pants, it would make him sick. Clean, clean. Wang Daban said hurriedly, with 2 lines of cold sweat streaming down his fat cheeks. He was obviously frightened and his mood was trembling. There is only one seat in the office. Now that Gray is sitting on it, there is no room for Yejing and Yejing. They originally wanted to sit on the table, but then after thinking about the plot of some kind of action movie, they stayed away from the table and just stood quietly next to Gray. On the desk, there were several piles of messy documents. There were marks of correction on the documents. This made Gray's originally dark complexion look better. It seemed that he could still work. In addition to documents, there are also several USB flash drives on the table, which should be used for business records. Gray ignored the frightened general manager Wang Taipan. Instead, he picked up the documents that were being flipped through on the table and examined them carefully. There was silence in the office, and the dull atmosphere made no one want to speak. If Gray didn't speak, Yejing would naturally not speak either, let alone Zhao, who was about to fall asleep. A few minutes later, Gray put down the documents in his hands, his face gradually returned to normal, he raised his eyelids and looked at Wang Taipan, who was sweating and pale, and said calmly, "Are you reviewing the airship cargo that came with me today?" The airboat they came from, carrying the cargo from the Magic City to the waters, had just been unloaded today, so this document had just been placed in the general manager's office. This document could actually be reviewed in a few days, but General Manager Wang Daban chose to work overtime to review it today. Whether it's a show or serious work, at least you have the heart. Wang Daban nodded repeatedly after hearing Gray's question. That's right, the coastline warehouse sent the general cargo documents at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I plan to review all the cargo quantities all night today and try to find all the cargo dealers within 3 days. I'll take an action within 7 days. When it came to work, Wang Daban straightened his originally bent body and reported to Gray respectfully. There was no pause in his words. He had obviously thought about what to say. Gray nodded, put the document back in its place, and said calmly, "Working overtime is worthy of praise, and it is okay to combine work and rest, but it is best to find out the location, you know. I don't know how many times this guy has done this in the office. Although Gray can't stay in the water for long, he still needs to be beaten. This word that combines work and rest is very clever. He is worthy of being the eldest son of a big family and can speak well." General Manager Wang Taipan looked ashamed. "I know, Master Gray. This matter is over for now. I have other things to ask you." Gray looked directly at Wang Daban, and an invisible pressure pressed on this middle-aged man who was only at the 9th level of the human realm. Are you a member of Edward's direct line or a collateral line? There are thousands of people in the Edward family, so naturally there cannot be only one line. In addition to one direct line, there are more than a dozen collateral lines. Gray is the direct eldest son and has the first inheritance rights of the Edward family. If something happened to Gray and he was unable to inherit the Edwardian family, his first right of inheritance would be passed down to his direct line, with the most capable person taking over. In the event that all direct lineages die unexpectedly at the same time, the inheritance rights will be devolved to the collateral lines. In such a large Edward family, he didn't know who was in charge of Shanghai City's business. However, he was overly worried. Shanghai City is the only city in the water area, and the water area is an important source of goods for the Edward family, so it is naturally impossible for it to flow into the hands of outsiders. Wang Daban said decisively, I am directly connected. I was once a subordinate of the clan leader. What era was it in the past? He probably worked as a porter for Gray's father, and then climbed up step by step. From this point of view, Wang Taipan is still somewhat capable. Although his strength is not very high, it is normal. Whatever strength is needed to manage a company, brains are enough. Haven't you seen that he has been in charge of the Edward family's business in Shanghai City for several years without being assassinated? This is a rule. If business competition involves assassination, it will be chaotic. Today you killed my general manager, then tomorrow I will kill your general manager, and everyone will have a hard time. When Gray heard that Wang Daban was a direct descendant, his face became better, and he gradually smiled. He supported his elbows on the desk and asked in a caring tone, how many years has Uncle Wang been in Shanghai City? This speed of changing his face is outrageous. He had a cold face in the previous second, and the next second he even called Uncle Wang. This speed of changing his face made Wang Daban a little stunned, but he still quickly replied. I have been in Shanghai City for 5 years. 5 years. Gray glanced at Yejing beside him. He didn't forget that he came out this time to collect information about Shanghai City. Since Wang Daban has been in Shanghai City for 5 years, he should have a good understanding of the distribution of forces in Shanghai City, right? Thinking of this, Gray pulled Yejing, who was doing nothing, to his side and introduced him. This is Yejing, the director of the Blue Star Council, and also my good friend. He has some questions to ask. Director. Boss Wang looked confused, and after reacting, he hurriedly bowed to Yejing. Hello, Director Yejing. Ahem. This difference in status brought Yejing a great sense of comfort. After coughing twice, he waved his hand calmly. We are all family, so don't be restrained. I am actually very low-key. I don't want others to know that I am so young and have endured pressure that does not belong to my age group. Just treat me as an ordinary person. Gray. Zhao Danggong. Boss Wang. The next chapter is just a typo, the content is not repeated. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 526. Chapter 503 Sea God Relics. Yejing thought carefully about where to start, and he did not forget what his main task was. 1. Investigate the newly born relics in the waters. 2. Investigate the dark world that appeared in the waters. These two were his jobs when he came to the waters, and other issues were secondary, and they were his diversions after completing his main tasks. Even if he wanted to be the mayor of Shanghai City, he had to complete these two tasks. After organizing his words, Yejing looked up at Wang Daban, who was a little confused, and asked, You also know the relics that appeared in the waters recently, do you know where it is? Relics? Wang Daban frowned, Are you talking about the sea god relics? Yes, that's it. I don't know much about this. Wang Daban thought for a while and said, the rumor of the sea god relics has only been circulated recently. It is said that a fleet found a super large ancient relic phantom in the deep waters, and according to ancient records, this relic is likely to be left by Poseidon, the sea god of another era. It is said that Poseidon, the god of the sea, is a powerful man who is almost a true saint. Before he died, he left all his treasures in the deep sea. Among his treasures, there is even a divine halberd similar to his own sacred weapon. It is said that the person who gets the divine halberd can control the entire water area. Ruins. Divine halberd. As soon as Wang Daban finished speaking, Zhao Danggong, who was originally drowsy, suddenly became interested and woke up directly from a semi-sleeping state. He looked at Wang Daban with bright eyes, as if he had been thirsty for a long time. He hurriedly asked, "Where is the ruins you mentioned? Can we go there now?" His occupational disease came back. Originally, he came to the water area because he heard that there were ruins. He thought he would have to search for a while, but he didn't expect that he got information about the ruins on the first day he arrived. Listen to what the person said. Yejing pushed Zhao Danggong, who was very interested, back in a bad mood, motioning Wang Daban to continue. Wang Daban nodded and told all the information he knew. The location of the ruins is still uncertain. Many forces outside the waters have intervened and formed fleets to search for the Poseidon ruins in the deep waters. They can't sit still even though the ruins haven't been found yet. Yejing frowned. These groups are like sharks that smell blood. They can't hide any movement on the blue star. Now they followed the wind of the Poseidon ruins. If they really found the Poseidon ruins, they would turn the waters upside down. No, it's almost certain that the Poseidon ruins exist now. It depends on who finds it first. Wang Daban continued, the phantom of the ruins recorded in the ancient books is exactly the same as the phantom of the ruins discovered by the fleet, but the location is far away and has not yet appeared. It is even possible that it has been discovered but not exposed. The ancient books are so detailed. Yejing complained in his heart. Then are there any restrictions on entering the ruins, such as the number of people? Gray interrupted and asked. He was also very interested in the sea snake ruins. Let's not talk about what is in the ruins first. He is mainly interested in the divine halberd. Look at Yejing, he got a meteorite sword, and the flame dragon sword energy swept everyone, and even threw a meteorite from the sea of stars from time to time, which was extremely domineering. Look at Zhao Danggong, who traveled the world with a golden shovel. There was nothing in the world that his golden shovel couldn't do. And then he himself had no good weapons except a few hairs, which was very frustrating. It's not that he can't afford good weapons, but there are too few weapons that can meet his ideas. Not to mention the golden shovel that is shoulder to shoulder with Zhao Danggong, it must be comparable to Yejing's sword. But how can such a powerful weapon be easily purchased, so it has been stranded? This time, when he heard the whereabouts of the divine halberd, he naturally didn't want to let it go. His own young master asked, even if he forgot, he had to remember. Wang Daban searched the information about the sea god ruins in his mind carefully, and found that he had not heard of the number limit, so he told Gray. I haven't heard of the information about the number limit for the time being, but there are other restrictions. I heard that the sea god ruins were left by Poseidon to find the inheritor, and the inheritor must be the best one, so the requirement for entering the sea god ruins is a youth under the age of 30 in the destiny realm. At this point, Wang Daban suddenly thought of something and added 2 more sentences. I heard, it's all heard, rumors, they may all be rumors. Yejing and the other 2 couldn't help but glare at Wang Daban. You heard it carefully enough. Under 30 years old. Destiny realm. Yejing and the other 2 looked at each other. Yejing said, I am under 30 years old, and I am in the destiny realm. Zhao Danggong said, I am also under 30 years old, and I am in the destiny realm. Gray said, I am also under 30 years old, and I am in the 9th level of the underground palace realm. Suddenly, Gray's face suddenly became gloomy, and he almost cried. We used to start from the same starting line, how did you two secretly upgrade? When Yejing was practicing, Gray was playing. When Zhao Dangang was practicing, Gray was playing. This time he was in trouble. If Wang Daban heard that it was true, Gray would not even be qualified to enter the Sea God ruins. No, I must retreat when I go back and try to break the destiny as soon as possible, Gray gritted his teeth and said. It would be great if the restrictions of the Sea God relics were true. Yejing touched his chin, looking thoughtful, and glanced at Zhao Dangang beside him. At the same time, Zhao Dangang also looked at him. After the two looked at each other, they laughed sinisterly. Obviously, we are opponents of the same realm, why do we suddenly feel like bullying a child, Yejing said with a smile. That's not good. If the big guys can't intervene, the Sea God relics will be in our pocket, Zhao Dangang laughed. For now, it's not Zhao Dangang's strength. At least putting Yejing in the destiny circle is like a wolf mixed in with a group of sheep. Isn't he waiting to be eaten? Ah. I want to go to the Sea God ruins too. Let's go home and retreat. Gray scratched his head with a very distressed look, and walked out of the office alone without paying attention to Yejing and Zhao Dangang who were ready to collude with him. If he didn't leave, he would be embarrassed, and he would be embarrassed in front of his subordinates. This made Master Gray very unbearable, so he had to run away first, and wait until he broke through in retreat before he could go out. Gray left in a hurry, leaving behind Wang Daban with a tangled face. The master left, leaving behind Director Yejing. What should he do? Yejing smiled and said, don't worry about him, let's continue. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 527. Continue. Boss Wang was slightly stunned, a little at a loss. His young master had already left, so what else could he continue? Besides, he didn't know what to say or not to say. What if he said something wrong? Yejing could clearly see the entanglement on Boss Wang's face. He smiled and said, your young master and I are good friends. You can say anything. Besides, I don't want to ask your family secrets. I just want to know the relationship between the Shanghai City Council and the City Lord's Mansion. As the two major forces in Shanghai City, the relationship between the Shanghai City Council and the City Lord's Mansion always feels a little ambiguous. In a short period of time, Yejing and the others felt something was wrong. It's not that the City Lord's Mansion suppressed the council, and it was not that the two sides cooperated. It seems that the council is relying on the City Lord's Mansion, and it seems that the City Lord's Mansion is relying on the council to complete some ulterior purpose. Now the information can only be collected slowly. The City Lord's Mansion and the council. Boss Wang frowned, thought carefully and said, it seems that the Council of Shanghai City has no sense of existence. It is not like other cities, where the council is in charge of everything in the city and the City Lord's Mansion is auxiliary. In Shanghai City, the council almost does not care about anything. All affairs inside and outside the city are coordinated and managed by the City Lord's Mansion. But it is not true to say that the council is completely hollowed out by the City Lord's Mansion. Everyone in the City Lord's Mansion respects the council very much, whether it is taxes or offerings. Boss Wang paused and continued, that's probably it. There is probably nothing to say about the rest. A small person like me only knows this superficially. That's all. Yejing showed a disappointed look on his face, a little unwilling, feeling that he was wasting time. How to say it? Everyone in Shanghai City should know the nonsense that Boss Wang said. It seems that the council still has a status in Shanghai City, but it has no power. As for why, I don't know. In the end, it doesn't matter what you say now. Anyway, I just arrived in Shanghai City, as long as I complete the task. As for the management rights of Shanghai City, these still need more planning. Yejing felt that the most critical link in the control of Shanghai City was the sea god relics. As long as the sea god relics were controlled, the control of Shanghai City could be further improved. With the sea god relics on the left hand and the council on the right hand, the rest was to solve the city lord's mansion, and Shanghai City would be in the bag. Yejing arranged everything clearly without knowing it. I just don't know if it will go smoothly. In a blink of an eye, it was already very late, the silver stars in the sky were twinkling, and the moonlight and starlight were intertwined, pouring into the room through the window. Then Manager Wang, let's leave for today. Yejing smiled at Wang Daban with a friendly smile. After saying goodbye, he left with Zhao Danggong. Shanghai City was still quite lively at night, with a feeling of fish and dragon dancing all night. Taking advantage of the night, Yejing and Zhao Danggong had dinner before going back. After returning, Yejing found that the girls had not come back yet. They were probably having fun outside. Gray's door was closed. He was probably in seclusion, so he didn't want to disturb them. After saying good night to Zhao Danggong, Yejing entered the room and lay down on the bed. Go to sleep. The next morning, Yejing walked out of the room with a yawn, washed up casually, and went downstairs. Is there anyone in the kitchen? Yejing was slightly startled when he heard the sound coming from the kitchen. Didn't they come back until very late? Why did they get up so early? Yejing walked into the kitchen and saw Ai Zayakui, who was wearing light blue pajamas and an apron, preparing breakfast. This leisurely feeling was very comfortable. Ai Zayakui turned her head to look at Yejing and said casually, "Morning, we can eat in a while." Yejing nodded and replied, "Morning." Without disturbing Ai Zayakui, who was preparing breakfast, Yejing quietly retreated and sat at the dining table. He didn't plan to wake others up. Breakfast is up to you or not. Sleep is more important. As expected, Ai Zayakui prepared breakfast for many people, and they ate it together. At the dinner table, Yejing casually said, "Do you have any plans later?" Ai Zayakui shook her head, "Let's see where the two little girls want to go." She really regarded herself as a nanny. Not only that, she also regarded Qinglian as a child, but it was true. Isn't Xiao Qinglian's appearance and personality like a child? Thinking of Ji Qingjian and Xiao Qinglian's personality, Yejing couldn't help but have a headache. He looked at Ai Zayakui with some pity, "You are really hard-working." "It's okay." Ai Zayakui smiled lightly, looking calm and calm, "I enjoy this kind of life." This is what she really thinks. Compared with the previous life of running around the world doing shady things, this kind of salted fish life of taking care of children and traveling from time to time is more suitable for her. As long as you are happy. Yejing said, it just so happened that he had time to take the children out to play, and it would be better if someone could help take care of them. What's more, Xiao Qinglian is too violent. She would deliver a fatal punch if she disagreed with someone. Who can bear this? After breakfast, Yejing sat in the living room waiting for the people from the Shanghai City Council to arrive. Today, he should meet with the management chairman of the council. It would be even better if he could ask something. The idle time passed, and around noon, the bell rang outside the door. Opening the door, the middle-aged secretary I saw yesterday was standing at the door with a serious face. "Director, yeah, our director would like to ask you to come over," the middle-aged secretary said. Although the chairman of the Shanghai City Council is also a director, there are still differences between him and Yejing. A director of a magic city and a director of an independent city. In the final analysis, Yejing's official position is greater. Yejing didn't call anyone else. He followed the middle-aged secretary into a car and went straight to the board of directors. About half an hour. The car stopped in front of the impressive council house. Unlike the council of Demon City, which is bustling with traffic and people coming and going, the council of Shanghai City is like a decoration, with almost no people in sight. Yejing stood at the gate of the council and couldn't help but feel a little distressed. Is this still the Federation Council that manages Blue Star, the largest force in Blue Star? This is too low. Seeing Yejing's somewhat darkened face, the middle-aged secretary remained unwavering, as if this kind of thing was no longer unusual. Please come to me. The middle-aged secretary bowed and walked in with Yejing. It was empty outside, and there was no one inside. Not even a single person could be seen in the lobby on the first floor of a large building. It's so heartbreaking. Yejing couldn't help but ask, is this still the council? Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Buletin Ji Bayet. Chapter 528. Is there any need for such an empty council? There shouldn't even be anyone to do business in such a place, right? Yejing looked at the middle-aged secretary and said speechlessly, how did your Shanghai City Council become like this? The middle-aged secretary walking in front of Yejing paused slightly after hearing the question, and said expressionlessly, it has been like this since the beginning. The Shanghai City Council was established later, and the City Lord's Mansion is a local force in Shanghai City. Just because it is a local force, it can't be resisted? Yejing frowned and asked, even if the local forces are strong, can they be stronger than the Federal Council? Just send some people to destroy it, how could it be so miserable? Or did they do it on purpose, or did the Shanghai City Council never ask for help? Thinking of this, Yejing couldn't help feeling a little tired. It's true that the smaller the place, the more troubles there are, and it's so troublesome. Why do you want to resist? The middle-aged secretary took Yejing to the second floor and said as he walked, there are only a few people working in the board of directors here. The president and vice president, as well as me and another secretary. How can these 4 people earn more than the local city lord's mansion in Shanghai City? Besides, there is no need to fight. The city lord's mansion is very honest. The Federal Council pays us a salary, and the city lord's mansion pays us another offering. We receive 2 salaries every year, so we simply don't care about the city lord's mansion. In the final analysis, it is still a matter of money. It is very difficult for 4 people to come to Shanghai City to stay permanently. Moreover, it is said that the person who came to Shanghai City to stay permanently is the director, and his ability is also average, otherwise he would not come to such a remote place to serve. Perhaps he is self-aware and knows that he cannot compete with the city lord's mansion, so he simply gave up and regarded this place as a place for retirement. After thinking about this clearly, Yejing couldn't say anything. Not everyone is as young as him, and not everyone is as young and vigorous as him. Compared to big cities like Magic City, it is quite normal to come to Shanghai City for retirement. Going up to the second floor, the middle-aged secretary stopped in front of the president's office. Director Ye, please come in, the middle-aged secretary said. Thank you. Yejing nodded, and without knocking, he pushed the door open and went in. Opening the door, a very empty office was revealed, with a sofa, a table, a bed, and another bed. Yejing was surprised, not only that, but also a wardrobe, a bookshelf, a bathroom, a kitchen, and a balcony. This doesn't look like an office at all, but a home. Damn, are they living here directly? Before he could recover, a flushing sound came from the bathroom. The bathroom door opened, and an old man with a bent waist, white hair, and a wrinkled face walked out. The old man was wearing a gray coat and was wiping the water on his hands with his coat. When the old man saw Yejing, he was slightly stunned, and his chaotic and lifeless eyes narrowed. Are you Director Yejing from the Demon City? Is this old man the director of the Sea City? Yejing replied, yes, I am here to survey the newly discovered sea god ruins under the order of the permanent director. Sit down and talk. The old man gestured to Yejing, hunched over, and sat down by the bed. Yejing hesitated slightly, and also sat down by the bed. He looked around and laughed. Mr. Wu, your working environment is quite comfortable. Thinking about his working environment, it was either in the outer sky or on other planets, which was uncomfortable. He still liked this comfortable working environment. Work. Mr. Wu smiled lightly, squinted his eyes and said, "How can I work? I can't work in this life." He stretched out his old finger and slowly pointed to the desk. The desk was clean and there were no documents. "Do you think I look like I'm working?" Yejing smiled dryly. "Yes, there was nothing in this room that was related to work." "Since you don't have a job, what are you doing here, Mr. Wu?" Yejing wondered. "Alas." Mr. Wu sighed, "It's a long story. Let's make it short. I'm too lazy to go home." Swish. Yejing's face suddenly darkened. "Is this a reason?" Mr. Wu was not in a hurry to explain. He raised his hand and pointed in the air. 2 cups of hot tea appeared out of thin air. "Please." "Thank you." Yejing took the tea and took a sip. "Good tea. It's refreshing and fragrant. It should be a good ordinary tea." Drinking tea, listening to Mr. Wu continue to tell stories. Mr. Wu said faintly, "It's not that I'm too lazy to go home, but that I can't go home. The place where I used to live has been submerged by the sea. Now I can only live in the office." "What? Submerged by the sea?" Yejing couldn't help but said in shock. "How is this possible? The water in the entire water area is constant and inconvenient. It can only be consumed and can't grow again. If the coastline drops, it's normal, but how can it rise?" Yejing subconsciously denied it. "That's the truth," old Wu said with a gloomy face. "Not only my family, but the entire Shanghai city is about to be submerged. Perhaps it won't be long before Shanghai city sinks to the bottom of the sea. Why are all of them passive skills?" Author, Bulletin Ji Bayet. Chapter 529. Mr. Wu stood up slowly and walked to the window sill. There was a look of reminiscence on his old face. His cloudy eyes looked out the window through the bright window and into the distance, as if he wanted to see the entire divine sea at a glance. Like a city. Looking beyond Shanghai city, it is a vast ocean, which is the water area that gathers all the oceans in the entire blue star. And Shanghai city is the center of this water area, just like a small boat drifting in the rough waters. In the silent room, no one spoke. Mr. Wu was silent, and Yejing couldn't speak, so he could only wait for the old man's memories. After being silent for a long time, Mr. Wu sighed deeply, and the sigh echoed in the room, circulating again and again. Shanghai city is no longer the original Shanghai city. Mr. Wu said quietly. It's not that the people have changed, it's that the waters have changed. The people of Shanghai city still make a living by fishing, and the strong ones make a living by catching sea beasts. Although the city lord's mansion has ignored the Shanghai City Council, it still respects us. Everything is fine and everything is fine. Mr. Wu said in a calm tone, although the city lord's mansion has emptied the Shanghai City Council, it doesn't matter. In the waters, before the Federation Council was established, the Shanghai City lord's mansion was already managing the entire Shanghai City. Compared to this, we are invaders. So, I would be very happy with the Shanghai City Council, even if it is just a place for retirement. A smile appeared on Mr. Wu's wrinkled face. His life seemed to have come to an end, and he already wanted to return to dust in Shanghai City. However, Mr. Wu's tone changed and his expression became heavy. He turned to look at Yejing, looking at Yejing's blank face, and said, "Shanghai City is going to be submerged. This is a fact." Yejing frowned. "I'm not doubting your old words, but this is too outrageous. If Shanghai City is only the lowest building, it is tens of meters high from the sea level, making the entire water area rise dozens of meters out of thin air. How is this possible? Damn, how big is the water? 10 magic cities? Or 100 magic cities? Anyway, it's so big that it's almost boundless. How is it possible for such waters to rise tens or even hundreds of meters out of thin air until they submerge the entire Shanghai City? That's something even trillions and trillions of humming water can't do. But, that's the fact. Mr. Wu sighed, his white beard swaying behind his hands, and he said calmly, the water area has risen by 13 meters during this period, and this number is still rising. The most alarming thing is that Shanghai City is also in the water, but it has not risen with the water. Is the water rising or is Shanghai City declining? Mr. Wu asked rhetorically. Yejing. Yejing looked confused. You ask me, who should I ask? He made a rational judgment. If I were to say, I would rather believe that Shanghai City is declining. Compared to something as outrageous as the waters rising, he still believed that Shanghai City was declining. Although this was difficult, it was still consistent with the facts. None of this matters anymore. Mr. Wu shook his head and said, if it looks like this, Shanghai City is destined to be flooded. He stared at Yejing without changing his eyes, staring at Yejing, and asked solemnly, you know the mission sent by the council, right? Yejing nodded and replied, first, investigate the ruins that appear in the waters. Second, investigate the people from the dark world active in the waters to see if they are related to the ruins. After hearing what Yejing said, Mr. Wu shook his head again, no, these are just secondary. In this world, there is only one most important thing, and that is human life. Suddenly, Mr. Wu's expression became serious. He stared at Yejing and said sternly, Blue Star Federation Council Director Yejing listens to the orders of the Permanent Director. What's going on? After Yejing was stunned for a moment, he stood up suddenly, tightened his ungrateful expression, and shouted with a straight face, Director Yejing is here to take orders. He also subconsciously performed a military salute. This is an order within an order. Elder Wu said in a solemn tone, now I order you to move all the millions of citizens in the city, including the monks, out of the water before Shanghai City sinks. Yeah. Yejing replied subconsciously, then reacted with a shocked look on his face and said in surprise, huh? Move the entire city's population. This scene looks so familiar. He seemed to recall the scene when hundreds of thousands of citizens were asked to leave the lonely city. But this is not on the same level at all. The isolated city is surrounded by wasteland, and there are cities thousands of miles away. You can move to wherever you want. But what about Shanghai City? It's tens of thousands of miles away, and it's all covered in water. How can millions of people cross tens of thousands of miles of water to reach land? Swim over? Yejing looked confused. Since the matter has reached such an emergency, why not let the Federation send a large transport ship to transport all these people away? If you can't swim there, you can always fly there, right? It's not that simple. When Mr. Wu heard what Yejing said, he let out a long sigh and said with a sad expression, Shanghai City is a peaceful and quiet city. It is a very beautiful and very dreamy city. The citizens here are surrounded by the sea, and the water is the foundation of their lives. How will they live after they leave? Not only that, this is also the place where they have lived since the establishment of Shanghai City. Generation after generation, they have taken root here. Even an outsider like me wants to settle down in Shanghai City, let alone them. Yejing was confused. He felt that things were not that simple. It's okay to let him fight, but what about letting him solve the problem of millions of people's lives? Yejing was tangled, and said after hesitation, that being said, migration is better than annihilation, right? If Shanghai City is really submerged, there will be nothing. That's why I sent you here. Old Wu said as if it was a matter of course. Many of the old people in the board of directors, or even permanent directors, have more or less connections with Shanghai City. It's inconvenient for them, so I asked you to come. Ye Jing's face was dark. Is this the reason for throwing troubles on me? No wonder Ji Ziqiu has always wanted to reform the Federation. Who likes such a corrupt old man who is far away from the land? The right thing to do is to let them all step down and become elders. Ye Jing muttered in his heart. His face turned bitter. What should I do? Give a speech? Or take them away by force? Old Wu shook his head and said, the most prestigious place in Shanghai City is the City Lord's Mansion. Your primary goal is to persuade the City Lord's Mansion to agree to the Great Migration of Shanghai City. Otherwise, nothing will work. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 530. The City Lord's Mansion has been managing Shanghai City and has a very high prestige in the city. If you want to move Shanghai City, the first step is to deal with the City Lord's Mansion. Old Wu introduced. Ye Jing looked thoughtful. In the past 2 days since he came to Shanghai City, he has been almost flooded with the 3 words of the City Lord's Mansion. No matter where he goes, he can hear these 3 words. Is the City Lord's Mansion really that awesome? Ye Jing asked cautiously. I heard that the strongest person in the City Lord's Mansion is in the Transcendent Realm. It can't be false, right? In fact, there is an ancestor in the 3 disasters realm hidden in the mansion. Ancestor? 3 disasters realm. Old Wu looked at Ye Jing with a weird face, and suddenly laughed. You think the 3 disasters realm is cabbage? You can meet it in any city, but it is a strong man standing at the top of the solar system. That's right. Ye Jing was relieved and breathed a sigh of relief. There was no way. There were too many 3 disasters realms encountered during this period. So many that he thought it was flooded. An ancestor in the 3 disasters realm could run out of anyone's family. Since there is no such thing, there is no need to be too afraid. Ye Jing straightened his chest and said confidently, don't worry, Mr. Wu, leave this matter to me. He actually felt a little regretful. He had originally planned to take over Shanghai City and prepare to build a city as a base, but now it seems that this dream is shattered. Yeah. Mr. Wu nodded gently. Come on, young man, you have done this well. If you nominate the 6th permanent director in the future, I will vote for you. He made a promise. Although he is old, he still has the right to vote as a director. This is too far away. Ye Jing waved his hands repeatedly. Permanent director? He just became a director, and he is going to be a permanent director? This is too fast and impossible. With him as a rookie who has just ascended to the heavenly fate realm, it is a bit troublesome to be a director, let alone a permanent director. Maybe in the future, he will have a chance when he enters the extraordinary realm, no, at least the upper realm of the extraordinary realm. Now that he knew what to do next, Ye Jing didn't need to stay here. He bowed to Mr. Wu and turned to leave. After leaving the board of directors, he went straight to the villa where he lived now. When he returned home, he felt several breath fluctuations flowing. Are you all at home? Ye Jing went upstairs and went to find Zhao Danggong first. Are you there? Ye Jing knocked on the door. A few seconds later, Zhao Danggong appeared suspiciously. What's the matter? Ye Jing said, there is work to do. Come with me to meet Gray. After he finished speaking, he turned around and walked towards Gray's room. However, there was no sound of footsteps behind him. He turned his head and looked, and his face was immediately black. The moment he turned around, Zhao Danggong had already closed the door. Come out for me. Yejing slammed the door hard. Behind the door, Zhao Danggong's depressed voice came out, "No, you only think of me every time you have work, are you sick?" "Bullshit." Yejing yelled at the door, "You ungrateful wolf, I didn't give you any benefits when I did the work that time, come out quickly." "Benefits?" Zhao Danggong suddenly pushed the door open and walked out with bright eyes, "You should have told me earlier if there were benefits, why bother so much?" Yejing looked at him with contempt, "What a miser." Zhao Danggong didn't care, and the two of them pushed open Gray's door and walked in. In the empty room, Gray was practicing with his eyes closed, trying to break through the realm of destiny. Judging from his posture, he was probably going to be there soon. "Cross your legs, I don't know who researched this, do you have to cross your legs to practice?" Yejing stepped forward and slapped Gray on the back of his head without saying a word, waking him up. "What's going on?" Gray was hit hard on the back of his head, making him confused. He looked at Yejing and Zhao Danggong in front of him with a confused face, "What are you two doing?" "Don't practice anymore, let's go out to work," Yejing said. "You are really interesting." Gray looked at Yejing with a sidelong look, "You have a job, what does it have to do with me?" "This guy. He used to be a good rich kid, a yellow-haired nobleman, well-mannered. Now he is swearing all the time, and Zhao Danggong must have led him astray." "Yes, it must be him." Yejing rolled his eyes, "What do you mean by my job? If it's just my job, why did you come to Shanghai City, for tourism?" "No. No." Yejing pulled him up and pushed him out of the door with his unwilling expression. "We are going to visit the city lord's mansion next. It would be so awkward if I am alone. It is better to bring two people." Don't you treat us as your subordinates." "Look at what you said. How can we be brothers? I just treat you as servants." "On the surface, brothers." The three of them pushed and shoved down the stairs. Zhao Danggong looked at the girls' room with some confusion and asked, "Why don't you bring Sister Qinglian with you when you visit the city lord's mansion? She is the one who uses force." Yejing was speechless, "We are going to negotiate, not to fight. What if the negotiation fails?" "Summon Xiao Qinglian, punch the city lord's mansion away, and then continue the negotiation." "That makes sense." Several people got into the luxury car allocated by the Gray family and followed the driver sent by the council to the city lord's mansion. On the way, Yejing's face suddenly sank and his expression became serious. "I suddenly forgot something." "What is it?" "We didn't write a greeting note." Yejing said, "We have to discuss important matters. This is considered a formal visit. If there is no invitation, wouldn't it seem too low?" Gray twitched his lips, "Isn't it also very low level for you to wear sportswear for a visit?" "This is different." Yejing waved his hand, and he hurriedly tore out a piece of flaming dragon skin from the storage ring, took out his dragon flame sword, and wrote on the skin with dragon blood, "Director Yejing of the Blue Star Federation Council is here to visit. Please open the door." After finishing writing, Yejing turned to Gray and asked, "Is this correct?" Gray raised his eyelids and sighed secretly, "A country bumpkin is a country bumpkin, who wrote such a greeting card?" He looked at Yejing with pitiful eyes, patted his shoulder, and turned away. Alas, poor kid, no matter how fast he flies, he can't hide his status as a nouveau riche. "Hey, what do you mean? Will it work or not? You are talking, why do you have such an expression?" Yejing was confused. Zhao Xingbang on the side comforted him, "Don't worry, it's absolutely no problem. Use a piece of the flame dragon skin from the 3 disaster realms to visit, and no one will be able to pick out the thorns." "Oh." Yejing felt relieved. After a while, the car stopped. "Director Ye, the city lord's mansion has arrived," the driver said respectfully. "Thank you." The three people got out of the car and saw a very luxurious and magnificent building in front of them, but their expressions did not change. I have seen all kinds of big scenes, so this is nothing. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 531. In front of the Lord's Mansion of Shanghai City. This is a manor covering an area of tens of thousands of square meters, located in the center of Shanghai City, and its value is comparable to a manor 3 times smaller in the center of Magic City. In front of the gate of the manor, there is a large dark blue sign saying Shanghai City. As soon as Yejing and the others stepped out of the luxury car, a guard wearing dark blue armor and holding a broadsword came over. Seeing this guard, Yejing suddenly remembered the big sword brother in a game in his previous life for some reason. The dark blue guard took a few steps and stopped in front of Yejing and others. There was no scene of fighting against others. He asked respectfully, "How do you call them? Is this a guard or a butler?" "My name is Yejing, a member of the board of directors sent by the Federal Council to inspect. This is my invitation." Yejing casually handed over the flaming dragon skin greeting card. "I didn't feel anything until I took it out. The moment I took out the flaming dragon skin invitation card, a breath like the sun was coming and the blazing flames burning the sky surged out from the invitation card and rushed towards the dark blue guard. Boom! In an instant, the dark blue guard was almost frightened and took out his big knife. His expression changed drastically and his face turned red from the scorching flames. "Damn it! What is this?" The dark blue guard felt as if his whole body had jumped into lava, and his body instantly rose to more than 10 degrees. The pressure coming towards him was like the 5 elements mountain pressing down on him. "Is this a special greeting card?" The dark blue guard held the big knife under his arm and took the invitation with trembling hands. "Director, yeah, please wait a moment, I will report to the city lord right away." The dark blue guard bent down and said respectfully, turned around and left, step by step, sweat flowing all over the floor. Seeing this scene, Yejing couldn't help but feel stunned. He turned to look at Gray, frowned and asked, "Why do I feel like I screwed up at the beginning?" Gray shrugged his shoulders. "What do you think? Is this a greeting or a show of force?" "That makes sense. Zhao Xingbang feels the same way." In the city lord's mansion. The dark blue guard held the invitation in both hands and walked into the manor, into the city lord's palace, into the hall, and finally into the back office. "City lord, we have a visitor." The dark blue guard knocked on the door several times in front of the office in the back hall. "Come in." The dark blue guard gently opened the door and walked in. "City lord, this is a greeting card." The dark blue guard walked to Haimu's desk and handed the invitation to him with both hands. Sitting behind the desk was a middle-aged man with an imposing appearance, correcting some kind of document. "Who?" The lord of Shanghai City took the invitation and asked casually. He said he was a director from the Federation. The dark blue guard said. "Director?" The lord of Shanghai City raised his eyebrows and turned his attention to the greeting card in his hand. "This is... What material is the greeting card made of?" The lord of Shanghai City felt an unparalleled flame pouring out from the invitation card on his hands, and rushed into his body along his hands. "Show off your power." The lord of Shanghai City thought silently in his heart, secretly running the skills, the water technique nourishes all things, and in the blink of an eye, the flames pouring into his body were extinguished. "That's it?" The lord of Shanghai City shook his head, with a mocking look on his face. "Isn't that director old?" "Yes, probably, maybe only 20 years old," the dark blue guard recalled. 20-year-old director. The lord of Shanghai City twitched his lips. No wonder he is so arrogant, he is young and energetic. Isn't this nonsense? The lord of Shanghai City rubbed his hands on the invitation card repeatedly, trying to guess what material it was made of. Brilliant flame dragon snake? Or the shed skin of a phoenix? He never imagined that this was the skin of the most awesome flaming dragon in the world. The Lord of Shanghai City looked at the invitation. Director Yejing of the Blue Star Federation Council is here to visit. Please open the door. That's it? The Lord of Shanghai City casually threw the invitation into his storage ring. It's quite valuable, let's put it away first. Tell them to go to the living room. The Lord of Shanghai City said. Yes. The dark blue guard cupped his hands and turned to leave. Not much longer. The dark blue guards left the city lord's mansion and once again came to Yejing and the others. Distinguished guests, please come in. The dark blue guard bent down and saluted. Following the guards, Yejing and the others walked into the city lord's mansion and looked around. Quite a nice place. Yejing looked around and praised. The flowers are fragrant, the birds are chirping, the forestry is green, and there is a large pond that comes from the water. There are no luxury accessories in sight. It is a place for retirement when it opens. Gray said with some disgust, if it were my manor, I would wish that the entire manor was covered with statues, from angels to demons, preferably all in black gold. Yejing, dot. Isn't this a nouveau riche? Who should despise whom? Walking into the main hall of the city lord's mansion, an old man with white hair and wearing a deacon's uniform walked towards him. The old deacon, wearing white gloves, bent down and raised his hand to signal to the back hall. Please come in, the city lord is waiting inside. Thanks. Yejing had a smile on his face. He walked in front, while Gray and Zhao walked behind him. Walking into the reception room in the back hall, the Lord of Shanghai City saw them coming in, stood up and greeted them. Ha ha ha, this must be Director Ye, he is indeed a talented person. The Lord of Shanghai City greeted him with a smile and extended his hands, very enthusiastic. Hello, hello. Yejing felt embarrassed to see the other person's humble appearance, and hurried forward to hold his hands. As expected of a talented person who became a director at the age of 20, he is not arrogant at all. The Lord of Shanghai City flattered Yejing and the other two after they were seated. You are still strong even at old age. After the two flattered each other for a while, they started to talk about business. The Lord of Shanghai City picked up a cup of hot tea and said with a smile, what is the matter with Director Ye coming here this time? He actually knew it very well. He had been harassed by old Wu for a while, and he knew what to say. He could perfunctorily answer old Wu, after all, he was just a director with a salaried position. But he could not perfunctorily answer Yejing, who was a director of the Federation Council at the age of 20. Who knows where he will climb in the future, maybe not even a permanent director. This time. Yejing pondered for 2 seconds and went straight to the point. The city lord also knows that Shanghai City is sinking, right? Ha ha ha. The Shanghai City lord waved his hands repeatedly as if he had heard some ridiculous joke. These are all rumors. It just submerged some edges. It will rise again soon. Yejing narrowed his eyes, what if it doesn't rise? The Shanghai City lord's smile did not diminish, what if it rises? Gradually, he became angry after just a few words. What if it sinks directly? What about the millions of people in Shanghai City? Yejing asked in a deep voice. I know you want to relocate Shanghai City directly. The Shanghai City lord said, is this necessary? Just because it sinks a little, you want to relocate the entire Shanghai City? It's too unnecessary. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin Ji Bayet. Chapter 532. Human life matters. Yejing said with a serious face, this is the decision of the council. We cannot joke with the lives of millions of people. He was scolding his mother in his heart, what the hell is this? The decision they made me take the blame for negotiations. I don't want to drag the lives of millions of people, but I still want them to relocate. If we can't talk about it, I will be thrown here. How shameless. Human life. The smile on the Shanghai City Lord's face faded, and his expression gradually calmed down. He glanced at Ye Jing and said, just because of this 0.0001% probability, he wants these millions of people to give up their jobs and their lives. It's ridiculous to even give up your ancestral land and leave. Ancestral land? Ye Jing almost laughed when he heard these two words. Shanghai City has only a few years of history, and you are just talking about your ancestral land with me? Ye Jing didn't know how to answer it. In the ancestral land, is there an ancestor of my nugget family? It has been passed down to me for 1,000 generations. Zhao Xingbang on the side couldn't help but burst out laughing. Everyone knows the history of Shanghai City. This generation has not finished yet, and we are still talking about the next generation. Let's talk about the ancestral land after you bury it yourself. Ye Jing complained in his heart. Doesn't one generation count as ancestral land? The Lord of Shanghai City sneered, my name is Shen Lanfan, and Shanghai City has been the ancestral land of my Shen family since I started. He smashed the teacup in his hand on the table, which frightened Ye Jing and the other two people so much that they trembled and thought they were going to drop the cup as a sign. My son, and my grandson will all be buried in Shanghai City. This is my ancestral land. I, Shen Lanfan, have really given the council face. For all these years since Mr. Wu came to Shanghai City, your council has taken care of me, and our city lord's palace has also taken care of me. I have never neglected him. But, your council just wants me to give up my ancestral land. Are you kidding me? Shanghai City patted the table and said with a slightly angry expression. If you don't want to move, then you don't want to move. Ye Jing shrugged his shoulders and said with an indifferent expression, then we will take away the other people in Shanghai City and just keep your family, okay? Gradually, the momentum between the two became more intense. Gradually, the softness and smile disappeared. Gradually, it was almost time to take out the knife and take action. Move them all. The Lord of Shanghai City sneered, if all the people are moved away, will this still be Shanghai City? Will this still be the ancestral land? Willn't this become a cemetery? It's okay if you don't want to move, why don't you let others move? Ye Jing raised his eyebrows and said dissatisfied. If I don't say anything, who dares to move out of Shanghai City? Suddenly, Shanghai City Lord Shen Lanfan's momentum changed, and the majestic pressure like the water and the sea pressed towards Ye Jing and the others. This is an almost extraordinary level of coercive strength. If they disagree, a fight will begin. Gray. Zhao horizontal bar. The two of them looked confused, and they didn't say anything. Why is it that oppression still brings us along? Ye Jing's heart froze, and he resisted the pressure and said calmly, it's not good to take action if the negotiation is not good. We are very sincere. After you leave Shanghai City, we will arrange a city for you. It is still a city. Then, arrange for people to come into the council to evacuate my city. The Lord of Shanghai City said coldly, I have been running Shanghai City for so many years. No matter who comes, I can make arrangements clearly. But what happens outside Shanghai City? Only in the water, far away from the land, I feel at ease. Even if he didn't agree with the price, Ye Jinghai planned to arrange for him to go to that small place in Gukan. Ye Jing took a deep breath, frowned and said, you really won't move. The Lord of Shanghai City nodded and said in a deep voice, if I don't move, I won't move even if my son comes. Fight or shut up. Ye Jing sighed, no matter what, he was not on the right track. Ye Jing stood up slowly and greeted Zhao Xingban and Gray who were about to go to sleep. City Lord Shen, even if I give you a chance, you won't be able to use it. Let's just stop here today, and we'll talk about it another day. After that, he greeted Zhao Xingban and Gray and walked directly out the door without saying goodbye. The Lord of Shanghai City didn't even have his body, so he said calmly, "I won't send it away." Just as he reached the door, Yejing suddenly paused, turned around and said with a smile, "By the way, it's best not to throw away that greeting card. It's the skin of the flaming dragon that the three of us hunted. It's quite precious." After saying these words, Yejing and the others went out. There was a snap. The teacup in the Shanghai City Lord's hand fell to the ground, and the aura of the peak of the extraordinary realm disappeared with a sudden look on his face. Flame Dragon? Even though he has been sitting in Shanghai City for his whole life, his small family has heard of the giant Flame Dragon. That is the most powerful Flame Dragon in the solar system. I even heard that I am about to enter the second disaster of the three disasters. What nonsense! The Lord of Shanghai City couldn't help but take out the greeting card and looked at it carefully. Is this the skin of the flaming dragon? Real or fake? The Lord of Shanghai City suddenly had an ominous premonition, feeling that today's matter would be a bit difficult to handle. How can I, the majestic Lord of Shanghai City, ambassador of the frontier, and boss of the waters, be frightened by a small piece of dragon skin? The Lord of Shanghai City snorted coldly, put the greeting card in the crystal box, and kept it very carefully. They are just a few juniors. I am at the peak of the transcendent realm. How can I be afraid of them? After thinking about it, the Lord of Shanghai City turned around and walked into the office. Everyone, come back when you have time. The deep blue guards respectfully sent them away. After leaving the manor of the city lord's mansion, Yejing and the other two stood at the door in a daze and did not leave immediately. What should we do next? Zhao Danggong looked at Yejing and asked. What should we do? Yejing rolled his eyes, just do him. He waved his hand and said with great pride, go back to find Sister Qinglian and get rid of him quickly. Gray hesitated, it's too fast to start after just a little talk. How about a few more talks? Yejing smiled coldly, what's the point of talking? We still have a lot of things to do in Shanghai City. If we can't even deal with the city lord, how can we deal with the sea god ruins and the dark world? I've already given him a chance. There's no need to waste time. Go back and bring Sister Qinglian and suppress him directly. He turned around and got into the luxury car. The car drove very fast in a hurry and returned home in a short while. Yejing pushed the door open and shouted directly at the door of the hall. Qinglian, do it. 1 second. 5 seconds. 1 minute. 5 minutes. Yejing and the other two stood awkwardly at the door and fell silent. Yejing said awkwardly, are you not at home? As soon as Yejing finished speaking, Qinglian's voice came from upstairs. Use your skills to fight the boss. Buff. Give me a buff. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 533. Give me the buff. Give me the buff. Export, output quickly. Sister Qinglian, fight the boss, don't hit me. Unexpected, unexpected, Xiaokui, hurry up and fight. Upstairs, there were waves of exclamations, occasionally mixed with irritable sounds of regret. Finally, after a painful wail, it subsided. It seems that the one who defeated the boss failed. Downstairs, Yejing and the other three were speechless. We are working hard outside, and you are playing games at home? Besides, even if you're not here for work, you can still travel. Why spend so much money to play online games in the water area? I'll go up and call her. Yejing said something and quickly walked upstairs. He didn't care whether they agreed or not, and just pushed the door open and walked in. After opening the door, I saw three beautiful girls in cool pajamas, swaying on the bed. Each of them wore a silver helmet on their head, and they were obviously immersed in it. These guys, I don't know where they got the virtual device from. Yejing stepped forward, reached out, and knocked the helmet on Xiao Qinglian's head, and whispered in her ear, "Come out, come out." However, no one responded. Yejing increased the force again and hit the helmet on Xiao Qinglian's head several times. "Who is it? Don't make trouble, you are busy." Xiao Qinglian didn't even move her head, and waved her hand impatiently, as if to shoo away Yejing from flies. "Yejing, dot." Yejing had no expression on his face and reached out his hand to grab the helmet. Then, he pulled it out directly. The sizzling sound of electricity sounded, and the lavender current rushed back and forth, flowing on Xiao Qinglian's body for a few minutes before disappearing. An electric current of this intensity cannot cause any harm to Xiao Qinglian, and it is not even enough to scratch her itch. "Ah! We're about to push to the boss." Xiao Qinglian's helmet fell off and she was forced to quit the game. Her whole body suddenly became hairy, and the hair scattered on her shoulders stood up. She glared at Yejing with a murderous look on her face. "Little Yezi, you are looking for death." Yejing looked helpless. "Sister, since when did you like to play online games? You care about me?" Xiao Qinglian snorted, wrinkled her fair nose, and unceremoniously snatched the helmet from Yejing's hand and tried to put it on her head. "No, I have business with you." Yejing quickly stopped her. If this allowed her to enter the game again, who knew whether she would be able to shout out again. When Xiao Qinglian exited the game, Ai Xiaokui and Xiao Yan also exited, looking at Yejing with puzzled faces. "What's wrong?" Ai Xiaokui put down her helmet casually, without any trace of nostalgia. At first glance, she looked like she was being forced to play the game. After seeing Yejing, Xiao Yan screamed out, jumped up in front of Yejing with her short legs, and said with a crying look on her face, "Sister Qinglian is too weak, she can't beat her own people all the time because of her skills. If you can't keep up, you keep letting others get buffed. Brother Yejing, come and help me." Yejing didn't show any pity for her. She raised her hand and pushed the little girl Ji Qinjian out, pinched her white and smooth little face, and pulled her to the side. "You were the one who took Qinglian to play games, right?" Yejing sneered. Bulletin 11. Whoa. Ji Qinjian made a whining sound and struggled repeatedly, but she couldn't break free and could only show her pleading expression. "It's not who you are." Yejing threw her on the bed. Ji Qinjian shook out her pajamas, turned over and sat cross-legged on the bed, pointed at Ai Xiaokui and said, "Sister Xiaokui bought the helmet. Who are you fooling?" Yejing slapped her on the bed and ignored her. He turned to look at Xiao Qinglian and said, "Let's get down to business. Come out with me." Xiao Qinglian asked with a vigilant look, "Is it going to be another trouble?" "I don't want to go out." "If you don't go out, you'll end up squatting at home." Yejing reached out and grabbed Xiao Qinglian's thin, soft arms, and was about to pull her out. "Come with me and go out to fight someone." "Let me go and I will go on my own." Xiao Qinglian seemed uncomfortable with being dragged away by others, so she awkwardly shook her off and walked downstairs alone. "If you hit someone, who will you hit, and how much will you pay?" When going downstairs, Xiao Qinglian asked curiously, her crystal eyes showing greed. "Money, you eat from me, wear from me, lie from me, and help me fight someone, you still need money." Yejing said with a surprised look, "Is this guy so thick-skinned? Who did you learn this from?" "Of course it's for making money." Xiao Qinglian said matter-of-factly, "Yanyan has already said that you can't beat the game. Money is the most important thing. You can't afford to play games with money. Don't say bad words." Yejing was speechless. "Who did you learn this from? Ji Qinjian? That little girl really deserves a beating." Qinglian had just been hanging out with Ji Qinjian for a few days, and not only learned how to play games, but also learned how to make money and curse. That bad girl just deserves a beating. When this period of time is over, she must be hung up and whipped. Yejing thought for a while and then said, "Okay, help me fight someone, and I will give you some spiritual stone flowers." "How many? Is the recharge of 100 spirit stones enough?" "Go away, I want 1 million. Yejing was shocked. "You can recharge for 1 million. If you want to be the strongest, just tell me whether you will give it or not." Xiao Qinglian bared her teeth and threatened, pretending to go back to the house if she didn't agree. "Give." Yejing gritted his teeth and nodded in response. "It's not enough for me to give it. It's easy for Mr. Mad to earn some money through hard work, so you just gave me the game company." He thought that he must get it back from the Lord of Shanghai City, and he must not lose money. "You have to work hard this time. I smashed it with 1 million spiritual stones." Yejing was a little worried that Xiao Qinglian was out of tune, so he gave special instructions. I know. Xiao Qinglian waved her hand impatiently. No matter who it was, as long as the realm was not as high as hers, it was just a punch. Even if they were in the same realm, she was not afraid. As an old woman who has spanned 2 eras, who can't be beaten by her? "Did you invite the little ancestor down?" Gray said with a smile. He heard the noise upstairs even from downstairs. This little Qinglian from the 3 disaster realm is just like a little ancestor. No one can beat her, that's why she is so unscrupulous. Zhao Xingbang was still afraid of Xiao Qinglian until now. When he saw her coming downstairs, he subconsciously stayed away. After inviting the big boss down, Yejing gained confidence and led them out of the villa with great pride. This time it is to gain control of Shanghai City. "Xiao Qinglian, you must play better and better. The bigger the gap, the better. It is best to give Shanghai City the crotch at once, so that you can show your performance gap." On the way, Yejing Gluo said in a long voice, while Xiao Qinglian was playing with her mobile phone with her legs crossed and didn't really listen at all.